Happy new moon in Sagittarius. Today we begin a new moon cycle that will carry us through the end of 2025 and bring in the beginning of 2026. We are beginning the Sagittarius moon cycle. So we are completing the Scorpio moon cycle. And when we move from Scorpio energy into Sagittarius energy, we shift from inner processing feelings, things moving at deep levels, layers below the surface, complexity, mystery. So, all the things that have been moving through in ways that we feel, but may have a hard time putting into words or fully understanding. Then, when we shift into Sagittarius energy, we have this ability to process and digest what's been moving below the surface and begin to wrap our minds around it, begin to understand and tell the story and put it into words and find the explanations that begin to connect the dots and help things to make sense in how they fit in the bigger picture. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for Friday, December 19th. So today's new moon in Sagittarius is exact at 5:43 p.m. Pacific time. And it is exact at 28 degrees Sagittarius, with Venus very close at 24 degrees Sagittarius, Mercury also in Sagittarius, 10 degrees. The moon and sun, which are together by definition during a new moon, they're in the same degree and minute of the zodiac. Both are in a square to Neptune during today's exact new moon. So that brings the dynamic of the connection between the bigger picture of how we understand and connect the dots and make meaning to the bigger picture of Neptune in Pisces, where we are just a tiny speck in all of reality, all of the things that we can feel, and even what lies beyond what we can feel and perceive. So that spiritual realm. So the interesting dynamics between Sagittarius and Pisces are it's the difference between our beliefs, which is Sagittarius, and our bigger spiritual feelings and things that are very intangible, like love, right? How do you define love? Can you put it into words? No, because I mean, sometimes you can, right? But always the experience of love is much, much bigger than however it is we might describe it. It permeates everything, right? And so love is one thing that is very hard to pin down. It's hard to contain. And what is the difference between conditional love and unconditional love? So with today's new moon in Sagittarius, we're planting the seeds for the next moon cycle. So great time to set your intentions, put things in motion that you want to see unfold. And we additionally have the energy of the new year vibe. And so thinking about how you want things to go in 2026 and what's important to you and what you care about and all that stuff. And so as we plant our seeds for this moon cycle, set your intentions. Be clear about what matters to you. Anchor that, right? Anchor it by either writing it out or making a vision board or doing some art or creating an altar or just affirming for yourself what really feels true. And also, how are you going to remind yourself of that throughout the year as things come along, right, and try to throw you off course, and things show up that introduce unpredictable factors, and just as life does, right, sometimes it throws us some curveballs. So how are you going to remind yourself of what matters to you in that bigger picture? That's why it's such a great time to really anchor those intentions. So again, writing it out, journaling, doing some art, putting something into a visual form that you can check back with. Maybe it's music for you, right? Maybe there's a song or a melody or a tune or something that will remind you of what matters, what's important in the bigger picture. So have that song, maybe as your theme song for 2026, what's going to remind you of who you are and what matters in the bigger picture. So it could be art, it could be music. What else? Like anything. Maybe you like aromatherapy, right? Maybe there's a scent or a fragrance or something that could remind you of the qualities that feel important to you. Get creative, right? It's all up to you and what you want to do with it. But the point is that the more you anchor those bigger picture places of what's important to you and your intentions, the more that can be your guiding light for this moon cycle, but also throughout 2026 as we go through, what's up ahead. And there are, the planets continue to move on their journeys. And so I'll talk probably coming up soon. I'll talk a little bit more about what to expect for 2026. But for today, just know that we're going to be moving through a further development of what it has already been awakened, what has already been put in place. It's going to continue to solidify, it's going to continue to clarify. And it's not good or bad, right? It's everybody always wants to know, like, is it going to be okay? But this is really about your story. Like, how do you want to tell the story? So what are you choosing to align with that will help the good outcomes that feel meaningful and true and right to you continue to develop, continue to solidify, continue to clarify? So maybe there are some ideas or some ideals you can think of about what feels important to you in the world, big picture themes like caring, compassion, freedom, authenticity, new ways forward, whatever that looks like for you. So if in 2025 that was a spark for you, in 2026 you're going to start putting the pieces in place to help to shape that in whatever way is, your path, your journey. So of course, also, if things have been put in motion that you don't like, that don't feel true and right to you, those have the the opportunity to continue to solidify in 2026. So the more that you steer things in the direction of what you want and interrupting or redirecting anything that doesn't feel true and right to you, like that energy is going to be important. And as Saturn and Neptune enter Aries and have their conjunction in early Aries early in 2026, that is really that warrior energy. So it's saying, what are you going to do? How are you going to take a stand? How are you going to fight for what you care about, for what you want? How are you going to defend and protect what matters to you? So all of that is how 2026 could look and why it's important to get really clear about these bigger picture values and visions and outcomes that feel important. So again, and as I like to say, it's not all up to you, right? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get everything right. But what baby steps can you take that move in the direction you want to go? How can you be in alignment with those higher, bigger picture visions and principles and themes that are important to you? So ask yourself, what are my goals for the month? What does my schedule, my routine look like? Does that routine include the things that are important to me? Does it include caring, kindness, creativity? Does it include love and feeling love and being loved and sharing love? Does it include being authentic? Right? And if you feel like you're in a situation where it's hard to do those things, then find the baby steps, find the places, the little small things you can do, because I guarantee you that matters. Every little tiny thing that you do to be in alignment with with your bigger picture principles, what feels true and right to you, every tiny little thing that you do, it all adds up. So when you do a tiny little thing, it magnifies, right? Because somebody else might see you doing that, and that gives them courage to do their own tiny little thing. And it grows from there. So that is how we want to think about this moon cycle, this Sagittarius new moon, with really planting those seeds of connecting to what is important, what is meaningful, the big why. Where is the flow of love, right? And how are you supporting that flow of love? How can you embody that in your everyday life and in your not so everyday life also? So I did have a bigger, well, I had a recap of 2025 in my video from last Sunday. Also, a little bit more of an overview of today's new moon, and especially where today's new moon fits in that bigger picture of what is changing and how to think about the way the planets are unfolding for us here at the end of 2025. We certainly have been through a lot of change, and some of it, not so comfortable. And so we're having to do that kindness and that caring for ourselves as we move through these places of where things are feeling unstable, where things are feeling uncertain, and show up with that ability to open to the flow of love and how that can support your own healing, your own transformation, and how you can be more of that in the world for others, however that looks for you. So those are some things to think about with today's new moon, and squaring Saturn, squaring Neptune. So this bigger picture energy of Saturn and Neptune, which have been moving into an almost conjunction in 2025, and they've moved apart, but they're still really within they're only 4 degrees apart right now. So they've been dancing together. And Saturn is the energy of form. It is the energy of how we take what we can imagine and we make it into something tangible. So taking idea and making it into form, taking imagination and shaping it into something we can see, taste, touch, feel, hear, right? Something that's with us in the here and now. So, how are you connecting with that bigger picture to imagine what you want to create and how you can participate in creating that? Whether it's, something very personal that you're creating in your life, your own creative work, your own creative projects, if you're buying a home or updating a home, if you are making food, if you are redecorating, if you are, buying something that is important in your life, that is, that is the way this energy is taking shape. So the qualities that you put into that and the ways that you find balance between, things like the cost of something versus the beauty and the feeling you want it to have, like put love into that process, because it's not about either or, right? It's not about having to give up all the beauty and all the pleasure and all the things that you really value to save money, for example, right? But it's also not about spending all the money to have all the things and then realize, oops, I overspent, right? I got out of balance. It's really about putting love into the process as things unfold, and making choices you feel good about, making choices that are solid, that are tangible, and they can exactly be baby steps. So, whatever you can do to move in the direction you want to go, that's great. All right. So on Sunday, there was another video about today's new moon in Sagittarius, putting it in the context of what is changing and bigger picture. So I recommend that video if you missed it for more of a deeper dive on today's new moon. Thank you so much for being here. I do have a guided meditation for this new moon, as I do for every new moon and full moon. So that is available at astrologyheals.com. And while you're there, you can check out the new look of my website, which I'm very pleased with how it is evolving. So astrologyheals.com is where you can learn more about me. You can purchase my guided meditations, and you can book a reading. And then transformationalastrology.com is my member site, where you can find more content, some blog posts, some various recordings, and more about me there as well. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Marina Orms, and I'm here every day with astrology for unshakable self-care. So I will see you next time. Bye for now.